This is a Glitterball podcast. Before we get into today's episode, please remember I'm judging these housemates based solely off of an edit and not as total people. Please don't send them any hate, it's just a game show. It's a week that started with a very real argument and has ended in a very fake eviction. Welcome to a two-part episode of He's Always Watching, where we finally get into all that's happened in week 3 inside Britain's most famous house. From Glitterball, this is He's Always Watching, a Big Brother podcast. Hello Fishbowl friends, and welcome to what will be a two-part episode of He's Always Watching. You didn't think I could just give you one part of house action, did you? Even though it has been an absolutely chaotic week here at Glitterball HQ. No. In part 1, we're going to talk all about the biggest fight we've seen so far with Jenny, Nancy and Sam. I have a few game-playing observations I want to unpack with you. And we're going to talk about house nominations. And then in part 2, we're going to talk all about the fake eviction and our new returning friends. So we have a lot to unpack this week. Plus, in this part, I think we're also going to talk about the house task. So there is a lot to get into, so let's just do it. Speaking of this argument with Nancy, Sam and Jenny, first of all, can we just be real for a second? Did they forget where the hell they were? I was absolutely flabbergasted by this moment, and I feel like Jenny was absolutely correct in feeling so outraged, angry, and just betrayed, not only because she thought they were her friends, but the outright stupidity that Nancy and Sam showed. Now, I don't particularly care whether Sam is a people pleaser or not, and nor do I care whether Nancy is an upfront bitch or not. But my thing with this is, you are in a house that is being recorded. For goodness sake, you are wearing microphones on your chests at all times. You knew you are being surveilled. This is the environment you walked yourself into willingly. Why on earth would you think it is okay when A, it's a fundamental rule of the show not to do so, but B, it just, hello, common sense, why are you talking about your fellow housemates in code as if it's not going to come back to bite you in the ass? Because of course, Big Brother and production are going to use that to their advantage by telling that same person that you've just been speaking about in code what you've been saying. Like, good God, give me a drink. It just, I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and the fact that they've seemingly developed a whole code for the entire house is just bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. And it makes me wonder, actually, little conspiratorial moment here if you don't mind. It makes me wonder how much more talking in code is going on in that house that we're not seeing. Because it makes me feel like this is a bigger issue than just what has been raised. And I gotta be honest, I don't like it. This was definitely entertaining to see it kind of aired out by Big Brother. I did really feel for Jenny, especially because she thought they were her friends. But I think she handled it well, all things considered. I don't think I would have been that cool, calm, collected about it. I think I probably would have thrown a few more expletives around. Who the hell do you think you are, talking about your fellow housemates like that? Given that Nancy has basically given us nothing other than she's a twerking Italian, I'm like, it's real rich for you, love, to just stick 2 pence in you and be like, bleh. Like, what? Sam, I also have a lot of heat for, because I'm like, don't be a gutless wonder. Don't be a spineless wonder. We'll get to more of Sam being spineless a little later on. But it's just like, it's not that hard. Do you know what I mean? It should not be how it was. Look, yes, we love a good gossip in the Big Brother house, but this was very uncomfortable. Great television, but like, I am surprised, given that we were in the 25th year of this show, that we still have housemates behaving like this. It really does surprise me. Am I entertained? Yes. But am I just like, how much of this show have you watched? Did you not read the rules upon your entry? Well, maybe we need to bring the printed rule book back, Big Brother, because I really did feel for Jenny here, and I think it will be interesting to see how her relationship with Sam and Nancy continues in this house. Somehow I get the sense that Sam and Jenny may fall out again, and I do wonder whether Sam and Nancy will last the test of time as well. We've seen them be very close this week while they've been nominated together, but I wonder, will that last, or could Sam potentially turn on Nancy? That's just a hunch, so we shall see. After the break, we're going to talk about a little bit more game playing, and we're going to talk about the house task as we head to BB General Hospital. I'll see you shortly. Welcome back to He's Always Watching. Oh, I love this show. I'm so glad to be back with you. And do not fear, we'll be back on our normal 3-episode-a-week schedule next week. So, let's dive in to a little bit more talk about game playing, because I tell you who I have my eye on this week. I really have my eye on Caroline. I have my eye on Fieshola. And I have my eye on Zila. First of all, the situation with Zila and Fieshola at the moment makes me deeply uncomfortable. For someone that likes to talk about how remarks and things can make her uncomfortable, I do not understand the public voicing of her attraction towards Zila. It is concerning because it doesn't line up with all the kind of preaching for me that we've had from Fieshola, and it worries me greatly, because Zila may or may not really be aware of this, and if it gets back, then even if she doesn't act on it, I would argue that given this is a public platform, it does put Zila in a very difficult position, because he's then going to have to shut this friendship down that he's clearly valued during his time in the house so far. But the bigger point for me is it makes me question a little bit of what we've seen of Fieshola so far, because it almost seems like, and I know we saw her in the diary room say, I never want to make my friends uncomfortable, but I feel like she's saying that and then just kind of carrying on anyway. I don't know. The whole situation is bothering me. I still really like her, but I question what we're seeing now. And we have had great moments with Fieshola this week. One of my favourite moments of the week, actually, was the moment where Jenny and Zila had their face masks on, and Fieshola came out to Cameron the farmer and was like, your bestie's cheating on you with my bestie, and my bestie's cheating on me with your bestie, and they're doing it in front of our faces. And that was hysterical. Stupid and hysterical, and I loved it. But it's just a little like there's one rule for me when I feel something and one rule for everybody else from Fieschola at the moment. And I really don't like that. It doesn't sit well with me. So I'm hoping if she does get confronted with the Zila situation, that it will be a bit of a wake-up call to be like, hold on, wait a minute, wait, whoa there, you know? And I feel like it kind of does need to happen, because seeing that clip that we saw on Late and Live, yes, for once I did watch Late and Live, I was like, ooh, no, I don't know. Someone has a girlfriend, you can't be talking like that if you're supposed to be their best friend. It's very like, ooh, absolutely not. And for someone who claims to be so aware of so much, I'm very confused. Anywho, let's move on to Caroline for a second, because boy oh boy has Caroline had a week. She's argued with Tasia. To be fair, I think Tasia held her own pretty damn well for someone that's quite so young. She's ruffled feathers in the doctor task by then like syringing medicine all over Tasia. There's a bit of a theme happening here. But then, of course, she made herself immune for the next 2 weeks with the Ideal Mini Mart. And look, to be fair, Caroline is great value, but I feel like she genuinely needs to stop trying to wind her other housemates up. Now, I can understand wanting to kind of talk about things and learn about things if that is her genuine viewpoint on having the discussions that they've had in the house this week. However, I am unconvinced as to how sincere that is. Again, I will give it some time and we will come back. But I feel like Caroline is just trying to bite for an argument most of the time. We've seen a less confrontational version of this is actually the fact that poor Richard is still copping heat for something that happened back in week 1, where with the warden task and all the rules, like, Caroline, shut up. You've gained more balls. You just spent all your balls on immunity. Like, shut up. You know what I mean? So, we will see. It's been an interesting week for Caroline. Do I think she's going to be in trouble once that immunity is gone? Abso-frickin-lutely. So, I will be really interested to see how the British public feel about Caroline once her immunity is up, because I think it's almost guaranteed that she is going to face eviction when her immunity is up. So will the British public save her, or will they bin her? That is the question. Let's talk about the BB General Hospital task now. Do you know what? This was a fun one. I wish that it was a 2-day task, because I like seeing how the hospital setup kind of ruffled their feathers. And I feel like if it had been a longer task, maybe even make it a 3-day task. Like, make Elsa run around that garden for a couple of days picking up pills. And make Tasia have to take that medicine for 3 days. You know, like, actually put them under the pump. Because I feel like some of these tasks this season are criminally short. They are criminally short. And it does kind of do my head in. So I'm disappointed that this one in particular was so short. However, we did get to see some interesting moments. I did quite enjoy, first of all, seeing Tate get electrocuted. I love a good electrocution task in the Big Brother house, and this was pretty fun. He was a good sport about it, but I think the most interesting task, obviously, was Sam's treatment for his lack of backbone. Do I think he was still a little soft? Absolutely. He was definitely still a little bit soft on his fellow housemates. However, I will say he did do a very good job at absolutely giving it to Caroline and Jenny respectively. I would like to see more of that energy come out in Sam, so I do wonder whether we will see a little bit more of that going forward. However, there is one thing about the hospital task that I want to point out that I'm just utterly confused by. Why did they need to spend eyeballs on upgrading their hospital beds and their food? Like, that didn't really... For me, that didn't really seem like a valid adjustment to this task. Make them all suffer. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I like seeing a housemate suffer, but I was just like, this is all a bit weird. It didn't really make sense as a reasonable and valid use of the eyeball currency for me. I'm not a fan of that. It didn't really work for me. However, I have to point out my potential favorite moment of the task was seeing Richard absolutely lose his mind at Caroline and the doctor's behavior. I've said it before and I'll say it again. To be fair, Richard is kind of single-handedly carrying a good chunk of this series. Not only is he interesting, funny, entertaining, he's just really good value. So if this does not show ITV that you need to cast older housemates, then we need to give it away. Because honestly, he is giving better value than Marcus, Tate, and Elsa combined. It's just a fact. Do I think he's playing a game? Absolutely. But the key here is he's giving us funny, engaging, and entertaining content while doing it. It's not just getting in arguments about politics or societal issues or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like some of these other housemates could really learn from that, rather than just getting back on the political discussion treadmill. Controversial potentially, I know the world is very political, but like, we watch Big Brother to watch people squabbling about food or a task or stuff like that. Big Brother is escapism for the audience at home. And while there is absolutely space for real world discussions that can have an impact, because you can't be what you can't see and what you can't hear, but there is a line. And I feel like some of the moments this week have reminded me what this show should be like, with the argument between Nancy, Sam, and Jenny. The moment between Richard, Jenny, and Cameron in the bedroom, where Richard is just laughing his head off at Jenny just sort of laying it all out. That was so funny. And then Richard as the matron of the hospital. Like, this is the kind of thing we should be seeing in this house. Alright, there you have it. That is your very first chunk of house action. When I see you in the next episode, we will get into the fake eviction, our new arrivals, some old friends, some we haven't even met yet. So if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend and leave a 5-star rating on whatever podcasting app you are listening to us on. You can come and watch over on YouTube, on the Glitterball YouTube channel. You can find the link to that and everything else in the show notes. And you can vote on the polls over on Twitter and on our Instagram stories. So you can find the links to all of that in the show notes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your patience in letting me handle everything that has been swirling around me this week. I'm so glad to be back with you, and I will see you in just a second with even more house gossip, because we have a fake eviction to unpack. In the meantime, though, remember, Big Brother isn't the only one who's always watching. See you soon.